Plastic pollution is posing a growing threat to livestock and rural livelihoods in parts of Mpumalanga. A new study has examined the impact of plastic waste on cattle, goats, and other livestock that depend on communal grazing land in Nkomazi. The research was conducted by University of Limpopo senior lecturer in the Department of Water and Sanitation, Dr. Linton Munyai, together with researchers from the University of Mpumalanga and Stellenbosch University. Now, for many rural communities, agriculture is an important source of income, but plastic bags, food wrappers, bottles and other waste dumped in grazing areas can pose a serious risk to livestock. During dry periods, when natural grazing becomes scarce, livestock may be more likely to ingest plastic waste while searching for food. Our reporter Tsepo Mujaki spoke to Dr. Munyai about the study and its impact on rural communities. Let's watch.
Well, thank you so much in studio. You are indeed correct. Plastic waste is not only an environmental problem, but in rural communities, it can become a threat to animals as they rely heavily on grazing land. Because one would, of course, imagine that this animal can mistake plastic bags and also some other papers to be food. But to find out more about the problem and its impact, I'm going to be joined by a senior lecturer here at the University of Limpopo's Department of Water and Sanitation, Dr. Linton Munyai. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to Inside UL News.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Well, we know that you are studying plastic pollution. What made you to study this problem, and also what happens to animals when they eat these plastics?
Oh, thank you very much for having me on your show. Maybe to start with the first question, what prompted us to do this research on plastic? So for the past few years, we have been focusing much on research that looks at plastic waste in our aquatic ecosystems. So this include in rivers, wetlands, reservoirs, and other freshwater ecosystems. And then recently in 2024, we did a study that was looking at the social aspect or understanding perception of people in terms of how they perceive plastic that is found in our aquatic ecosystems. And from that conversation, we realized that most of our participants indicated that as much as we're talking about plastics in the rivers, there is also another challenge whereby our livestock, which are found on land, are actually consuming these plastics. So we felt it is more important for us to be doing a research that focuses on livestock ingesting plastics and the impacts and how these farmers are coping in terms of plastic pollution on their land. So there are several symptoms that you will know when your livestock have ingested plastics. For example, you find your livestock being very weak. So when they are weak, they start isolating themselves from the large herd. You also find out that they also lose appetite, so they don't eat normally when they are in the herd or when they're in the grazing land. And in worst case scenario, this plastic ingestion can also lead to death of some of these livestock in these communities. Yeah.
Well, you just told us about the impact that the plastic pollution is having in these animals, but let's come to the farmers. What impact does this have to them, especially financially?
You know, I think that's a very good question. Animals or livestock in our rural setup, they're not just livestock, remember. We are talking about rural communities that relies heavily on livestock for generating income and also for financial security. So when one farmer loses a livestock, that's very much important because they are losing an asset that could have generated income to pay for school fees for their kids, to buy food in the household. So it's a livelihood asset. So those are the impacts that this plastic pollution have on the livestock. If you know, in our rural setup, when you have a wedding, when you have funerals, the first thing that you think about is where do I get a kettle to feed people with meat? So you can see that these animals are not just animals; they are a really livelihood asset to these communities. Yeah.
Indeed, that can also lead to food security. As we conclude, what would you like to say to everyone out there, and also what do you think needs to be done to stop this plastic pollution, especially in grazing land?
So our study identifies several issues or several gaps that needs to be filled, and maybe to indicate also that this is not a once or this is not an individual problem. It's a problem that everyone is facing. So our study indicated that there is a lack of a proper waste collection within our rural communities. There is no procedures in terms of how do we deal with pollution or waste pollution in grazing lands, and that paper also outlined in terms of which institutions are responsible for dealing with this problem. So we recommended that our municipalities, our government, and also the community itself, we should start thinking broadly into how do we remove this plastic in our environment, and also to educate our communities in terms of the impact of this plastic on the land, and also consequently affecting the livestock that we have.
Well, Dr. Munyai, thank you so much for joining us, and we do wish you all the best in your study.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you so much. Well, that was Dr. Linton Munyai, who is a senior lecturer here at the Department of Water and Sanitation in the University of Limpopo, basically outlining to us about the impact of plastic pollution in grazing.